जय
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय,
जय
गंगा माई की जय,
जय
यमुना माई की जय,
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय,
जय
भक्ति देवी की जय,
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय,
जय
गौर प्रेम आनंदेज.
हरि बोल.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 1, text number 46. Yeah, not 46, 46, yes. Just a comment about the kirtan before class. That it's a kirtan. If you can participate, that's preferable. I know that at a certain point, somebody made a decision that we shouldn't, it's not a good idea to chant, to everybody can mute themselves instead of chanting. But at least for this class, I'd prefer that if you can, if you're not in a place where it's not okay to chant, that you unmute yourself and have a call and response, as it says in this prayer. Mukhe bolo hari hari. Mukhe bolo hari means what? With your mouth.
Chant.
Yes. So there's so few opportunities to chant, responsibly in our lives. And this is taking advantage of one more opportunity. So if you can, that would be preferable, at least during this class. I can't speak for other classes. All right. So here we are, chapter 40, text 46. Who would like to chant the Bengali today?
I can, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. প্রথম বৎসরে অদ্বৈতাদি ভক্তগণ প্রভুরে দেখিতে কইল নীলাদ্রি গমন.
And have to move it up. Good. The first year after Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, all the devotees, headed by Sri Advaita Prabhu, went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitang Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupagatamayam Dadati Shapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shibashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness. So ordinarily, I don't speak on a verse that doesn't have a purport. The Srila Prabhupada didn't give a purport to this verse. But if you remember last week, I gave some homework, and I don't know if anybody did the homework. But anyway, this says that the first year after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, all the devotees headed by Sri Advaita went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Did anybody do the homework by any chance?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, what did you find?
Oh, first year, I think I don't remember exactly. First year, he spent, I think, first 2 years in Jagannath Puri, and 6 years, and he went other places also, South India also.
Okay, so let's read. So fix this verse in your mind. This verse, and now, who are you in charge of the screen, Balaji Prabhu?
And probably he went to Doel,
Yes, Prabhu.
Doel Yatra also, Doel
Okay.
Yatra.
Let's go to the Madhya Lila 7th chapter introduction. Okay, and Balaji, can you read this?
The Lord begins his tour of South India. In his Amrita Parva Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura summarizes the 7th chapter as follows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life in the month of Magha, January and February, and went to Jagannath Puri in the month of Palguna, February, March. He saw the Dola Yatra festival during the month of Palguna, and in the month of Chaitra, he liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. During the month of Vaishakha, he began to tour South India. When he proposed to travel to South India alone, Sri Nityananda Prabhu gave him a Brahmana assistant named Krishnadasa.
Okay, good. That's good. So we have here the just a summary of Lord Chaitanya's activities right after he took sannyas. So he took sannyas in the month of Magh, January, February, went to Puri, Jagannath Puri in the month of Palgun, February, March, saw the Dola Yatra festival during the month of Palgun, and in the month of Chaitra, which is March, April, he liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. During the month of Vaishakha, that's April, May, correct? Correct?
Yes.
He began his tour of South India. And how long was he on his tour of South India?
2 years?
Yes, 2 years. There's a verse that says that. Okay, now let's go back to the verse of today. So the first year after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, all the devotees headed to Sri Advaita Prabhu, went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. So how is that possible?
The way
thought he
I
was-
understood it was in the first year he went. So during that first year, which would be, when he went to, so he took sannyas in the month of
Magh.
Magh Mas, and till Vaishakha he was in he
Puri.
Puri. So during that time, before Vaishakha or before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, Advaita Acharya saw him, is how I understood it.
So when is the Rath Yatra ceremony?
February.
July,
No.
July, I think.
Usually June, July. Yes, it's been
June,
that
July.
way for hundreds of years. Yeah, it's during the rainy season.
Yeah.
There's the 4 months of the rainy season. And during the rainy season of Lord Chaitanya's South Indian tour, he was in Rangakshetra, Tirunchirappalli, staying at the house of Venkata Bhatt. So he made a good time walking on the east coast of India down to South India, Tiruchirappalli. By the time the rainy season arrived, usually it's in mid-June, so you have like 6 weeks of walking to get there. It's almost 1,000 miles. So that's when the Rath Yatra ceremony usually takes place. And during the rainy season, late June, early July, late June, mid-July, like that. So how is this possible? Somebody? Anybody? Well, I thought about this. So sometimes things in the scriptures are a little are a little difficult to understand, and so this might be one of those cases. I can give some other examples from the Chaitanya Caritamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, when I see Bhakta Bob, I'll call on you in a moment. When Srila Prabhupada was in Philadelphia in 1975, he was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class. And during the Srimad Bhagavatam class was on the pastime of Ajamil, Ajamil and the being death and his taking away by the Jamadutas. So at that time, the person chanting the Sanskrit sloka and reading the verse was named Nitai. He was the Sanskrit editor. So he said that on seeing the Yamadutas, Ajamil, he said, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
So then Srila Prabhupada interrupted and he said, no. It's not 3 times. He said it 1 time. It's not 3 times. And Nitai, the Sanskrit editor, said, so it's here in the book 3 times. So Srila Prabhupada said, no, it's 1 time. You must correct that. And then Nitai admitted that he had put in the extra 2 Narayans. Do you follow?
Yeah.
Do you follow? Okay. So that could be one instance of something off, or something went off. There's another instance we'll find in this chapter, actually, of the Caitanya Caritamrita. In this chapter of the Caitanya Caritamrita, there's a brief description of Madhavendra Puri, who's the grand spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual master of Ishwar Puri, on his travel to Jagannath Puri to secure sandalwood for Gopal Nathji, stopped at a place in Orissa where there's a Gopinath deity who had been there for many, many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of years. And at that, it's in a place called Remuna in Orissa. And at that place, you'll find there's a special preparation they make, Amrita Keli Kheer, and it's offered to the deities. So Madhavendra Puri was wanted to see how they make that kheer so that he could offer it to his deity. So there's a whole pastime about that. So in this chapter, the translation of that verse about Madhavendra Puri is, he saw how they made condensed milk. Okay. Then later, when it's described elaborately later in the Madhya Lila, it's described as kheer is described as sweet rice. Now, there's a difference between sweet rice and condensed milk, as you might know. Sometimes in North India, they call condensed milk what? Rabdi. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know how that, but then we did some research, if you remember, those of you who are with us, that we asked a devotee who goes to Balasur, Ramuna, in Gopinath's temple, and it's there's no rice in that preparation, at least today. So that was interesting. And I remember going there in 1978, and they served us Amrita Keli Kheer Prashadam, and there was no rice in it. So how did it happen? Now it's one place it's condensed milk, and another place it's sweet rice. I don't know. I can't say. So what do you do when there seems to be some difference? You pray to Krishna and try to help us understand. See, in this verse it says he went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Which Lord is that?
Mm.
Lord Jagannath? Is it Lord Jagannath? It just says the Lord, right?
Mhm.
You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do the next verse. Let's do the next verse.
রথযাত্রা দেখি তাহার রহিলা 4 মাস, প্রভুর সঙ্গে নিত্য গীত পরম উল্লাস।
After attending the Ratha Yatra ceremony at Jagannath Puri, all the devotees remained there for 4 months, greatly enjoying the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by performing kirtan, chanting and dancing. Okay. So they were enjoying the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by performing kirtan. Usually you take that as being uh he was actually there, in his spiritual form. But also you could take it that by performing kirtan, you get the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he was on his way to South India. Does that make you follow? Anyway, I don't know the answer. But when we try to put things together, and is this the most important thing in our philosophy? Of course not. But when we try to understand the scriptures and put them together, it's an interesting point to try to understand things in this, because Prabhupada encouraged us to read these scriptures scrutinizingly, and sometimes these things come up, and when we can't find the answer, we stand back and pray to Krishna, help us understand how it is. And sometimes Krishna gives us intelligence from within, and sometimes it may take some time. You follow? So the reason I point that out is I'm not trying to point out mistakes or anything, but the scriptures are internally consistent, and sometimes we just don't understand the reason what's going on here. Okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
The Mahaprabhu took sannyas, and he went for South India tour after 2 years, right?
No. The tour itself was 2 years. The tour itself lasted for 2 years. He went all over the place down in South India.
He
So
went to
from the time he left Puri in the month of what? Vaishakha.
Vaishakha.
The month of Vaishakha. You know the month of Vaishakha. To the time he came back, it was almost 2 years, because the time he returned was right before the Rath Yatra ceremony, Rath Yatra festival. We'll see that later.
okay. So
Go ahead.
I heard that he started, but he had to come back.
That's a different thing. So
okay.
6 years he was traveling in India. The first 2 years was in South India. Then he came back. Then after that Rath Yatra, he decided he would go to Vrindavan.
Okay.
And we'll see, it'll be described here. We'll see that here in this chapter, which is good. This is the reason Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling us in codes in a summary form about the later activities of Lord Chaitanya, is so we can keep those in our mind. We can remember them. So this part, he goes to South India for 2 years. Then after coming back, he actually wants to go to Vrindavan, but he goes to Vrindavan by the way of Bengal. And he went, so he could go along, one way to go to Vrindavan from Orissa is to go along the Ganges bank, along that way. So that's there in Bengal. So he went north to Bengal, and he saw his mother and the devotees in Navadvip area. And then he also went to see Rupa and Sanatan, who were there at that time, named Dabir Kash and Shakara Malik. They were involved in the working for the government of Nawab Hussain Shah.
Ram
And
Prabhu.
they became Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami there. He bestowed his mercy, his full mercy on them. And then they, even though this is the first time they met Lord Chaitanya face to face, they suggested, it might not be a good idea for you to go to Vrindavan, a pilgrimage place, with all these people. There were thousands of people that were following Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, after going a short distance west, a short distance west, he decided to turn back and take their advice and go back to Puri. So that was his second time on his way to Vrindavan. And then later, in the middle of the night, or right after Mangalarti, he left with this one servant, perhaps two, and took off from Puri through the jungle of Jarikanda on his way to Vrindavan. So that was all within this 6-year period. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
So this was Lord Chaitanya's, especially his preaching in all over India, 6 years. Okay. Any other questions here?
I think in Bengal he saw Mother Ganga also. He was saying
Yes,
Mother.
yes. Very good. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Just a little sidetrack.
648 বিদায় সময় প্রভু কহিলা সবারে প্রত্যব্দ আসিবে সবে গণ্ডিচা দেখিবারে.
At the time of departure, the Lord requested all the devotees, please come here every year to see the Rath Yatra festival of Lord Jagannath's journey to the Gundicha temple. Purport. There's a temple named Gundicha at Sundarachal. Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra are pushed in their 3 cars from the temple in Puri to the Gundicha temple in Sundarachala. In Orissa, this Rath Yatra festival is known as Jagannath Journey to Gundicha, whereas others speak of it as the Rath Yatra festival. The residents of Orissa refer to it as Gundicha Yatra. So Gundicha Yatra. So the temple in Jagannath, the Jagannath temple, is representing the opulence of Dwarka, and the temple at Sundarachala, the Gundicha temple, is a representative of Vrindavan with sweetness, simplicity. So when Lord Jagannath goes from Dwarka to Gundicha, he's visiting the residents of Vrindavan, Gundicha. And after the staying at Gundicha for some time, Lord Jagannath returns to the Jagannath Puri temple about a week later. So actually there's 2 festivals. You know that. And Srila Prabhupada actually encouraged devotees in the West also, wherever they hold Jagannath Rath Yatra, to have 2 festivals a week later. And one time in New York, we did that. We took one week, we had the festivals on one Saturday. We had the festival down Fifth Avenue, just like the Rath Yatras here in New York City. A big festival, went down to Washington Square Park. And 1 week later, we had the festival going from Washington Square Park to Central Park. Just 2 Rath Yatras. Or one could be called Gundicha Yatra, although we didn't have a Gundicha temple. Hare Krishna. I forgot to call Bob. I never called you. I'm sorry. Are you still there? No.
I'm still
Oh yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for taking my question.
Yes.
So my question was about the timeline. You were asking about the timelines. I remember you and I spoke before, and we talked about how the Srimad Bhagavatam is not in chronological order. Could that have something to do with it? Could the order be out of place within the Caitanya Charitamrita, or am I just doing mental speculation?
Well, it's, our speculation about Krishna, we're trying to understand Krishna. The best way to do that is to get, from an authority, but sometimes trying to understand with our limited faculties also is that's called philosophical speculation. It's not complete mental speculation anyway. It's not necessarily a bad thing, trying to understand in different ways. So I might agree with you, except that in that particular introduction that we read, it is given chronologically. There's chronological stuff there. So, this month, then the next month, then the next month, and then what is it? Magh, Falgun, Chaitra, Vaishakha, right? These 4 months. So specifically, 4 months chronology is given. So that's what is, makes it a little more difficult to understand. And I gave different examples. I gave the example of Narayan. It could be that the editors adjusted it according to their idea. Could have been. Or it could be there in the script, or it could be some other cause. Or it might be just we don't understand correctly how things are going. As you say, it could be, that verse could mean, well, generally, Lord Chaitanya invited everybody to come. But if he invited everybody to come before going to South India, he wouldn't have been there for that first Rath Yatra after taking sannyas, at least not in his manifest form. So I hear what you're saying. And yes, it is true that in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's some of the pastimes are not in chronological order. But in this case, it's the specific chronology is mentioned. So I don't think that applies. My understanding is it wouldn't apply here necessarily, unless something else I don't know.
Thank
What
you,
do you
Prabhu.
think?
Yeah, I was just grasping at straws. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem. Good question.
Thank you so
These are
much.
good questions. So questions are good. This is a good question. It's a good question. Okay, text 49.
প্রভু আজ্ঞায় ভক্তগণ প্রত্যব্দ আসিয়া গুন্ডিচা দেখিয়া যান প্রভুরে মিলিয়া
Following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees used to visit Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every year. They would see the Gundicha festival at Jagannath Puri and then return home after 4 months. See, they had paid time off from their jobs, right? 4 months per year. Or they didn't have that difficulty. They could take 4 months off, right? And doing festival. And they say that now we're very advanced. 650.
বিংশতি বৎসর রইছে কৈলাগতা গতি অন্যান্য দুহার দুহা বিনা নাহি স্থিতি
For 20 consecutive years, this meeting took place, and the situation became so intense that the Lord and the devotees could not be happy without meeting one another. How long was Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri, based in Jagannath Puri? He took sannyas in his 24th year. He was, manifest presence was 48. So 24 years he was, 24 years he was based in Jagannath Puri, although he traveled. 20 years they came. Okay. Not 24. Text 51.
শেষ আর যেই রহে দ্বাদশ বৎসর কৃষ্ণের বিরহ লীলা প্রভুর অন্তর
The last 12 years were simply devoted to relishing the pastimes of Krishna in separation within the heart of the Lord. Purport. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed the position of the gopis in separation from Krishna. When Krishna left the gopis and went to Mathura, the gopis cried for him the rest of their lives, feeling intense separation from him. This ecstatic feeling of separation was specifically advocated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his actual demonstrations. This Lord Chaitanya's demonstration of these feelings of separation will be summarized in the chapter 2 of this Madhya Lila, and then also in more detail in the Antya Lila of Caitanya Charitamrita. So the description of Lord Chaitanya's demonstration of these feelings of separation is quite advanced and beyond my power to fully understand or appreciate. But when we get to that point, we will read that, and there's very few purports there, but we'll hear it and try to understand it, because that's what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami recommends. At the end of the second chapter of Madhya Lila, which we'll read, in a short time, he says that by just hearing Lord Chaitanya's demonstration of these feelings of separation, that awakens one's love for Krishna, even if you don't understand it. So that will be our position. Make sense? Okay. Text 52.
নিরন্তর রাত্রিদিন বিরহ উন্মাদে আসে কান্দে নাচে গায়ে পরম বিষাদে.
In the attitude of separation, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared mad, both day and night. Sometimes he laughed, and sometimes he cried, sometimes he danced, and sometimes he chanted in great sorrow. Text 53.
যে কালে করেন জগন্নাথ দর্শন মনে ভাবে কুরুক্ষেত্রে পায়েছি মিলন.
At those times, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit Lord Jagannath. Then his feelings exactly corresponded to those of the gopis when they saw Krishna at Kurukshetra after long separation. Krishna had come to Kurukshetra with his brother and sister to visit. Report. When Krishna was performing yajna, sacrifice at Kurukshetra, he invited all the inhabitants of Vrindavan to come see him. Lord Chaitanya's heart was filled with separation from Krishna. But as soon as he had the opportunity to visit the Jagannath temple, he became fully absorbed in the thoughts of the gopis who came to see Krishna at Kurukshetra. Questions or comments? One observation here is I didn't find it in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in this purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord Krishna invited the inhabitants of Vrindavan to see him there in Kurukshetra, which I hadn't heard in other places. This is, not only did he go there, it wasn't just by happenstance that the residents of Vrindavan showed up after how many years? This is probably at least 50 years they showed up, and they had able to meet Lord Krishna. Another interesting point is, as Lord Chaitanya is remembering this when he went to see Jagannath in Jagannath's temple, Lord Krishna's meeting with the residents of Vrindavan. Also, in the first Delhi ISKCON temple, the deities were named. You know what the deities in Delhi were, the first temple in Delhi was called?
Rukmini Darukadish?
No. Radha.
Parthasarthi.
Yes, Radha Parthasarthi. So some of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers criticized. What is this? Radha Parthasarati. There's no meaning of that. You know, it's a rasabas. And Prabhupada mentioned, commented that they don't understand this, because when Krishna goes to Kurukshetra, yes, he goes, and the residents of Vrindavan were there, and also the Arjuna, etc., were there, as Kurukshetra is there. But he meets, who does he meet? The gopis, along with Srimati Radharani. So it's a similar pastime that Lord Chaitanya is doing and thinking about when he meets the residents of Vrindavan in Kurukshetra. Do you follow? Okay.
654.
Yes.
রথযাত্রায় আগে যাবে করেন নর্তন, তাহা এই পদমাত্র করে গায়ন।
When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance before the car during the festival, he always sang the following two lines.
সেই তো পরান্নাথ পাইনু, যাহা লাগি মদন দহনে ঝুরি গেনু।
Translation: I have gotten that Lord of my life for whom I was burning in the fire of lusty desires. See the word Parananath. Don't go down too fast. See Parananath, Lord of my life. There's a devotee who comes to Philadelphia sometime. I think now he's in London. His name is Prananath Das. Prananath, the same word. So this is one of the songs that Lord Chaitanya used to recite during the Rath Yatra festival, and during the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would have devotees chant this in front of the Jagannath cart. I have gotten that Lord of my life, in Bengali, of course, for whom I was burning in the fire of lusty desires. Purport. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Kamam, Krodham, Bhayam, Sneham, Aikyam, Shauhridam, Evacha, Nityam Haro Vidadhato, Yanti Tan Mayatam Hite. The word kama means lusty desire. Bhaya means fear, and krodha means anger. If one somehow or other approaches Krishna, his life becomes successful. The gopis approached Krishna with lusty desire. Krishna was a very beautiful boy, and they wanted to meet and enjoy his company. But this lusty desire is different from that of the material world. It appears like mundane lust, but in actuality, it is the highest form of attraction to Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi. He left home and everything else. He could certainly not be induced by any mundane lusty desires. So when he used the word madana dahane, in the fire of lusty desire, he meant that out of pure love for Krishna, he was burning in the fire of separation from Krishna. Whenever he met Jagannath, either in the temple or during the Rath Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to think, now I have gotten the Lord of my life and soul. Let's look again at that verse. Up. Cheta Parananath Painu Jaha Lagi Madana Dahani Juri Genu. Cheta Parananath Painu. Okay, yes. So you know the shloka, Atmendriya Priti Vancha Thare Bole Kam, Krishnendriya Priti Icha Dhare Prema Nam. That desire to satisfy Atmendriya Priti, the senses, one's own senses, that's called Kam. Krishnendriya Priti, and desire to satisfy Krishna's senses, Icha Dhare Premanam, that's called love. So they might appear similar, but when a person becomes very anxious, very enthusiastic to please Krishna's desires, it may seem like a mundane thing, but the object is different. Sometimes it's described as a difference between gold and iron, which are both metals, but the gold and iron are different, highly different in quality. So, in fact, that excessive enthusiasm to want to satisfy the senses of Krishna is called Lala Samayi, and it's sometimes mentioned as the price to enter the spiritual world. Have you ever heard that before? Intense desire to satisfy. It seems like lust, but it's not. It's for Krishna's pleasure. Hare Krishna. Questions, comments? Okay. Yes.
No, Prabhuji, can you
Oh,
scroll
this is Sanskrit. E dvya gane nachena dvitiya prahar Krishna lana braje jai e bhav antar. Lord Chaitanya used to sing this song, Sheta Purananath, especially during the latter part of the day. And he would think, let me take Krishna and go back to Vrindavan. This ecstasy was always filling his heart. Purport. Being always absorbed in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt the same separation from Krishna that Srimati Radharani felt when Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura. This ecstatic feeling is very helpful in attaining love of God in separation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught everyone that one should not be overly anxious to see the Lord, but should rather feel separation from him in ecstasy. It is actually better to feel separation from him than to desire to see him face to face. When the gopis of Vrindavan, the residents of Gokul, met Krishna as Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse, they wanted to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also felt the same ecstasy as soon as he saw Jagannath in the temple or on the Rath Yatra car. The gopis of Vrindavan did not like the opulence of Dwarka. They wanted to take Krishna to the village of Vrindavan and enjoy his company in the groves. This desire was also felt by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he danced in ecstasy before the Rath Yatra festival when Lord Jagannath went to Gundicha. Hare Krishna. So this is the internal meaning of the Rath Yatra festival. They say, it's the common saying that have you heard this? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Have you heard that? Of course, that's on the material plane. But here, a similar principle is there, that feelings of separation is a impetus for developing one's love for Krishna. And one should not make the mistake that even though the feeling of separation in the material world is kind of unhappiness, in spiritual life, that a feeling of separation from Krishna is a kind of ecstasy, a very happy, makes one elevated in Krishna consciousness and remember Krishna even more. So the gopis, including Srimati Radharani, wanted to bring Krishna. They didn't. They when they met Krishna, he was in royal dress with, chariots and servants and elephants and all these things. Something like, it's often the case that people who are in exalted or very high positions, whether they're political or entertainment or sports, they have a hard time dealing with people in a very straightforward and intimate way. because they have so many demands being made on them at every moment. So we see that often those people who are in such positions, they have a hard time having good relationships between others. Whereas, although Lord Krishna, in his position in Dwarka, had thousands of queens, still the gopis there was a special sweetness in their relationship with Krishna as just a apparently ordinary cowherd boy that was especially relishable by them. So they had a strong desire to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. That's the internal meaning of the Rath Yatra. We know that Lord Chaitanya particularly had his internal purpose of coming. Externally, he came for the spreading of the holy name and to distribute love of God. And internally, his real purpose was to understand the glories of Srimati Radharani's love, the qualities in Krishna, in him, that evoke that love, and the happiness that she feels when Krishna does reciprocate her service and love. Therefore, he accepted the color and mood of Srimati Radharani in his incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 57.
এইভাবে নিত্য মধ্যে পড়ে এক শ্লোক, সেই শ্লোকের অর্থ কেহ নাহি বুঝে লোক।
In that ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a verse when dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. Almost no one could understand the meaning of that verse. Oh, this is in Sanskrit also, I believe, right? Is this Sanskrit, the next one?
Yes, Prabhu.
Ja Komara Hara Sa Eva Hi Varastha Eva Chaitakshapas Te Konmilita Maliti Surabhaya Praudha Kadambanila Sa Chaivangshita Tapi Tattva Surata Vyapara Lila Vidhau Reva Rodasi Vetasi Taru Tale Cheta Samutkantate. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kandamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. This verse appears in the Padavali, an anthology of verses compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. I looked up the Vetasi tree. It's a kind of banyan tree. Text 59. Was that Sanskrit too? I don't know. Ish lokera arthak jane ekala swarup daive se vatsara tahan giya chena roop. Translation. This verse appears to be the hankering between some ordinary boy and girl, but its actual deep meaning was known only to Swarup Damodar. By chance, one year, Rupa Goswami was also present there. Text 60. Yeah?
Yeah. প্রভু মুখে শ্লোক শুনি শ্রীরূপ গোসাই, সেই শ্লোকের অর্থ শ্লোক করিলা তথাই।
Although the meaning of the verse was known only to Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, after hearing it from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, immediately composed another verse that described the meaning of the original verse. Yes?
শ্লোক করি এক তাল পত্রেতে লিখিয়া, আপন বাসার চালে রাখিল গুঞ্জিয়া।
After composing this verse, Rupa Goswami wrote it on a palm leaf and put it on the roof of the thatched house in which he was living. I don't know why one would put it on the roof. Or maybe somebody else would know. I have no idea. Go ahead.
লোক রাখি গেলা সমুদ্র স্নান করিতে হেন কালে আইলা প্রভু তাহারে মিলিতে.
After composing this verse and putting it on the roof of his house, Srila Rupa Goswami went to bathe in the sea. In the meantime, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his hut to meet him. So this is when Rupa Goswami was visiting in Jagannath Puri. He stayed in this hut, yes.
হরিদাস ঠাকুরার রূপ সনাতন জগন্নাথ মন্দিরে না যান তিনজন.
To avoid turmoil, the three great personalities, Haridas Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Sanatana Goswami, did not enter the temple of Jagannath. Purport. It is still the practice at the Jagannath temple not to allow those to enter who do not strictly follow the Vedic culture known as Hinduism. Srila Haridas Thakur, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Sanatana Goswami had previous intimate connections with Muslims. Haridas Thakur had been born in a Muslim family, and Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, having given up their social status in Hindu society, had been appointed ministers in the Muslim government. They had even changed their names to Dabir Kash and Shakara Malik. Thus, they had supposedly been expelled from the Brahmin society. Consequently, out of humility, they did not enter the temple of Jagannath, although the personality of Jagannath, of Godhead, Jagannath, in his form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, personally came to see them every day. Similarly, the members of this Krishna consciousness society are sometimes refused entrance into some of the temples in India. We should not feel sorry about this as long as we engage in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna himself associates with the devotees who are chanting his holy name, and there's no need to be unhappy over not being able to enter a certain temple. Such dogmatic prohibitions were not approved by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who were thought unfit to enter the Jagannath temple were daily visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this indicates that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not approve of the prohibitions. To avoid unnecessary turmoil, however, these great personalities would not enter the temple. Hare Krishna. So still it's the case that if people who can be identified as foreigners, usually by the color of their skin, attempt to enter the temple of Jagannath, they will be expelled, sometimes beaten by the chowkidharas there, the guards. And so we follow the example of Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Haridas Thakur, who are certainly qualified, even though we're certainly not even close to as qualified as them. But so should it be that one should just accept that position and chant the holy names like Srila Prabhupada says? Or should there be any effort to actually go in the temple of Jagannath for those who are followers of the Krishna consciousness movement? What do you think? That's an open question.
Prabhu, no sense in going fighting with the pandas and all the temple administration. Just do the darshan from outside, and that's Prabhupada did. He tried to help the devotees, which are foreigners, but they were not allowed. So Prabhupada forgot about that, and he just concentrated on the Jagannath Bhakti, rather than fighting with those guys. That's not the devotee's character, to fight with anybody.
Yeah, so there's one wouldn't create turmoil by trying to force one's way in and probably be attacked. On the other hand, Srila Prabhupada and more than once, and we see here in Caitanya Charitamrita, but also in dealing with the administrators of the temple, strongly criticized that rule that they have, that policy that they had of not allowing those who are actually following the Krishna consciousness to come in. So on one hand, yes, not to force on it, but on the other hand, Srila Prabhupada made efforts that he wanted his devotees to be able to go inside the temple, not by force, but by reason and argument. We could have just said, okay, hey, that's it. We'll just take the position of Rupa and Sanatan and Haridas Thakur, not bother. But now it's the case that just because of somebody's skin color, they might be drunkards, meat eaters, doesn't matter. But because of skin color, they'll be allowed in, isn't it? Well, it has really nothing to do. Go ahead.
They didn't allow Prime Minister Indira Gandhi also to get.
Yes.
Because she married Parsi, so then.
So she was famous. She was famous. If she had gone incognito, they wouldn't have known.
So yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's so. But anyway, they're not gonna. So there's no check to see. Oh, is this person drinking alcohol? Does this person eat beef? They're not gonna check that.
They check it. They ask your gotra.
Okay, so somebody has a gotra. It doesn't mean they're not eating beef. That's it.
Yeah, the people enter there. They many of them they eat beef and
yes, that's the point. That's the point I'm making.
Intoxication.
Yes, that's the point I'm making. That just by skin color or some superficial thing, they might be allowed or restricted.
Yeah.
So that's Srila Prabhupada spoke strongly against that. And as agreeing with Kaivalya Prabhu, it's not that we're going to make a riot there and force the way in, but at the same time, Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to speak about this incongruity in their policy and to address that policy. So at some point, Hare Krishna devotees, whether they're from Bengal, Orissa, South India, Europe, Kazakhstan, South America, might be allowed to go at some point if we continue to pressure. Of course,
and Jagannath comes out to
we see
meet
that Jagannath
everyone
outside.
Yeah.
But during the Ratha festival, there's millions and millions of people. It's very difficult there. So, okay. I thank you for your input and questions and responses.
It's not with color or anything, Prabhu. If they allow somebody, because the Jagannath Puri, they have certain rules from the beginning, not now. So they just
what
really
controls are those? What controls are those?
No, it's not that color or anything they're controlling.
Yes,
they just, they have
yes.
that religion, how they were from the beginning, like you are saying in this sloka, even Chaitanya Prabhu, they were also restricted. So it's not what is me, if I say something, I am Krishna conscious person. That's not the thing. They have their own rules, and in Jagannath, in Orissa, they have the strict, strong following things.
Yeah. So what
like
is better?
What
is better? What is the understanding? Is it one is born a Hindu?
No, that's not. You cannot guess anybody.
Is one born, or what does one? Can one by practice of chanting the holy names and following principles, can one be elevated to the position of not only Brahman but a Vaishnava? That's the crux of the difference. So is it that we follow a born system of a religious understanding, or can anyone, no matter where they're born, no matter their gotra, if they follow Vedic principles, Krishna conscious principles, can they be elevated to the position of being part of the Vedic culture, even to the level of Brahmins or Vaishnavas and sannyasis? That's the crux of the matter.
How will they decide, Prabhu, in the temple? See, they cannot decide anybody, you know, whether you are born or whether you are very
Sure,
much
why not?
conscious of it.
It wouldn't be that difficult. It wouldn't be that difficult if you really want.
I don't know.
Why not?
Because since a long time, I've been there.
So
like
Lord Caitanya didn't agree. He went personally to see Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur. So you're from their point of view that you're taking the point of view of the Jagannath Temple administration. It was a good thing. It was proper that they restricted them because they had Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. Okay, get rid of it. No, Rupa and Sanatan, they had taken. So if we take that point of view, okay, they were correct. But we see specifically what Srila Prabhupada is saying in this purport is Lord Caitanya did not approve. God, it's the same as Lord Jagannath, he did not approve of that policy. So if you want to follow that policy, okay, but that's not pleasing to Lord Caitanya or Lord Jagannath. And the whole point of having a temple is to please Lord Jagannath. So if you stop his devotees from coming to see him, that's not very pleasing to him. So somehow or other, there can be an arrangement. I'm not the administrator, and we can speculate about how to do it, but it certainly could be done. It certainly could be.
It's the pandas' rigidity, Prabhu.
Yeah,
They don't understand anything. They just they are very rigid. Not from the administrator. They tried several times, but the pandas don't allow because they are the pujaris. If they stop doing seva of Jagannath, then it will be a mess. That's why the administrator accepted. Because
whatever the reasons,
it's the pandas.
We know that Lord Caitanya did not approve of that policy from this verse. So we recommend that the policy be adjusted somehow, however it might be.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasinam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
Hari Hari. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.